Those of you invested in the story of the Doctor know that quiet does not go with their lives. Yet for once, quiet was precisely the adjective that one could use to describe the TARDIS. For Charley Challis, this was a quiet day, and one she was using to pick up a good book. The book in question was The Lord of the Rings. She had often found it a melancholic book. Not sad. No book that ended with a traditional good king ascending to a traditional good kingdom's throne could ever be called sad, but it was melancholic nonetheless. She had long ago, after a spell of hyperfixated research on the topic, learned of Tolkien's worldview, and in this story she read much of his sadness, of the loss of an idealized old world, of the passing of beautiful things. It was a feeling she had an inkling of, having seen much of her world's history, as flawed and broken as it seemed to her.
The world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places.
You reading Tolkien again?
The Doctor often interrupted her reading time in this manner, or indeed, interrupted everything in this manner. He had a habit of simply entering a room as though he owned it. It was perhaps less infuriating in the TARDIS, where he did own it, than anywhere else he had that attitude. Charley found herself wondering about the Doctor and Tolkien. Much of what she had read spoke of the sadness to do with living for long ages and seeing things pass away. Tolkien had thought of such things, and he had lived a normal human life. Well, a normal length human life, at least. What sort of melancholy could a Time Lord, one who was, so he claimed, thousands of years old, feel at the passing of all that time? It felt somehow rude to ask that question, though, so instead, she simply smiled.
You have an objection to Tolkien?
No. Some of me have been Tolkien people. I'm more of a Narnia man, personally.
That makes complete sense. So, where are we going?
I haven't set a destination. You have somewhere in mind?
Wondering if you knew anywhere that looked like Middle-earth?
And I'm assuming you don't just mean New Zealand.
Doctor, I don't need a time and space machine to go to New Zealand. I could pay for a holiday to New Zealand.
Well, as it happens, I know one place. Shall we?
Oh, where have you picked?
You wanted Middle-earth. I've given you it.
They had arrived on the veranda of a beautiful, wood-constructed house. There were inlays of beautiful gold filigree, and all around the veranda were beautiful, golden-leaved trees. The house sat near a waterfall at the heart of a beautiful valley.
This is...
The last homely house east of the sea. The house of Elrond. Rivendell.
It can't be.
A few millennia from your time, this place, and the entirety of Middle-earth, was replicated on a freshly terraformed planet. There was a good, that's a bit off. A good 10 centuries where it was a beautiful tourist trap. And then it was abandoned.
Abandoned?
Here, the doctor sighed, looking out at the beautiful valley with a melancholic expression.
Yes, we're about a year after that. Auto cleaning is still working, won't stop for about another century. The robots playing Elron and the others were shut down, but there's no point in stopping the cleaners. Everyone ignores the serfs. It's quiet, which is why I thought you'd enjoy it. No jostling with tourists for a picture of Gandalf.
But no Gandalf.
Always the way. Can't have good without bad. And in their absences, there's nothing but pretty views and emptiness.
He pointed to the trees.
Malorn,
They were in Lothlorien.
poetic license.
Charley found herself looking at his eyes. Large, sad eyes, full of a longing for simpler times.
Why did you pick now?
The Malorn leaves are... Well, the Malorn leaves are golden. The weather is cool.
I mean now, when this place is abandoned. It's a bit morbid. And I can't imagine visiting Minas Tirith when it's empty is that fun.
No, it's not. Though the white tree is always stunning. I suspect I was influenced by what you were reading. The world's indeed full of peril.
He trailed off, his voice cracking. Charley took a deep breath and recalled the words she had been reading earlier.
But still there is much that is fair. And though in all lands love is now mingled with grief, it grows perhaps the greater.
The doctor smiled.
Tolkien was a very wise man.
You both are. I just think you need reminding every so often.
Just so, Miss Challis. Just so.
And the two of them, together, watched the sun set on Rivendell.